Okay, so today I would like to talk a little bit about um, we haven't actually talked about this. Well, we've kind of talked about it maybe a little bit, but not really directly. As uh, There's a psychologist that you may have heard. I'm not going to pronounce his name because it's Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, something like that. How embarrassing. Um, Anyways, well, he talks about the state of flow, and he actually recently passed away, and so some of his stuff has popped back up. Um, uh, and he actually wrote a book about this, and it's actually called Flow. And the reason why I bring this up is because uh, when you're in a meditation, um, you may have this sense of flow, and oftentimes what that does is it sort of it can enhance the meditation a little bit. And here I have so we've all felt it. Okay, and this is what he describes. So he's a very, very uh well, he passed away, but he was a psychologist who studied these various states of human potential, and one of them he called flow, and he says flow is a state of concentration so focused that it amounts to complete absorption in an activity. Everyone experiences flow from time to time and will recognize its characteristics. People typically feel strong, alert, in effortless control, unself conscious, and at the peak of their abilities. Both the sense of time and emotional problems seem to disappear, and there is an exhilarating feeling of transcendence. All right, so let me read that again. It's a state of concentration so focused that it amounts to complete absorption in an activity. So there's a focusing of the concentration, right? Because of the focus of the concentration, you're super absorbed in that activity. Usually you're doing something. You're doing something. Everyone experiences flow from time to time and will recognize its characteristics. You feel strong. You feel alert. You feel in effortless control, unself conscious, so not self conscious, and at the peak of your ability. The sense of time and emotional problems seem to disappear, and there is an exhilarating feeling of transcendence. I when I my college roommate actually we were talking one evening and he brought this up, and we were like, wow, man, I think I feel that when I play sports. I think I feel that when I play sports sometimes. Like there's this sense of, like let's say you're at the top of your game, you're in the middle of a game, and it's just, it's sort of like effortless control, uh, totally not self conscious. It's like you're just playing. You're like in the flow. And then we graduated college and we both decided to get motorcycles. And crazy college kids, we're all crazy college. No, Um, so we decided to get motorcycles, and I went to UCLA as an undergrad. And so what we would do on weekends is we would take them up into the Santa Monica Mountains, and we would go up Malibu and drive out to PCH and stuff like that. But it was in the Santa Monica Mountains. And I vividly remember this experience because it was so powerful. Where we had been riding for a while, maybe a year or two, and also we were in the middle of the mountains, and we were coming down one of the crests from the Santa Monica Mountains that comes onto PCH, kind of between Malibu, sort of maybe between Malibu and Sunset. Forgot what those streets are called exactly. But he was in front of me, and we were going we were going, we weren't going slow. We were going fairly fast. And I passed him. Like, I caught up. Usually we're probably maybe about, I don't know, 200 yards away. I mean, we're a good distance away, right? We're kind of flowing together, but sometimes, especially on these kind of winding roads. And usually when we set up, it's like, okay, I'll go in front, you stay in back. There's no way that I catch him. Like, it's not like I'm going that much faster than him, if that makes sense. And all of a sudden, I felt this state, right, where it was literally, I was on the motorcycle, I was riding my motorcycle, and it was like literally like the most extreme state of flow that I've ever felt. It was like I was one with the road. There was absolutely nothing else. There was this sense of sort of transcendence that was like super incredibly, I don't even know what to call it, euphoric in some way, where like nothing had to be navigated. It was all being navigated. It was all just happening, right? The flow of the motorcycle with the turning was just, it was just perfect. And I passed him, probably going, 15 miles an hour faster than he was going. And he's like, I tried to keep up with you. I couldn't keep up with you. And I was like, dude, I was in a state of flow. He goes, man, something hit you, because, and I probably got to the stoplight at PCH. I probably got to the stoplight maybe a good 30 to 45 seconds before him. And the entire length of the road, actually, I was just in this state. And I remember vividly, and I was like, dude, do you remember what we were talking about, flow? I think that was it. Anyways, but what he did is he published his book, and you can see why I'm bringing it up here. I've never brought it up, but somebody kind of, I think it's kind of neat to see. There's 7 conditions for achieving flow. So according to, I'm going to call him Dr. C, for an activity to potentially lead to a state of flow, it must meet the following conditions. So here are the conditions. The activity is performed as an end in itself, not for any other purpose. So that's kind of big, right? So that's kind of cool. So the activity is performed just because you're performing that. So why do you ride a motorcycle, right? Well, some people use it for transportation, but we weren't. We were just riding. And so that was the activity. The activity was riding. It wasn't like it wasn't even like we were going to lunch, right? And I'm using my motorcycle to get to lunch. Like, we were just riding. So the activity is performed as an end in itself, not for any other purpose. The goals of the activity are clear, and the feedback you get from it is immediate. The most important thing about that feedback is the symbolic message it contains. I have succeeded in my goal, for instance. So there's an immediate feedback that you're getting from the activity. Okay, so here I am, right, on my motorcycle, and there's a sense of this flow, and it's an immediate feedback that I'm getting, instantaneous. The activity is neither taxingly difficult nor too easy. So that's kind of interesting. The challenge of the task is perfectly balanced with the person's abilities. So there's a level of challenge that you're actually challenging yourself at, right? So think of this in the context of your mindfulness practice. Like, oh, am I challenging myself? Is this too challenging? What is it? If it's too challenging, how can we decrease the challenge of it? Or how can I practice more to make it less challenging? Okay, so the challenge of the task is perfectly balanced with the person's ability. So it's neither too difficult nor too easy. Neither too difficult nor too easy. The activity, so this is a good one. The activity requires complete focus of attention. So when you're riding a motorcycle, well, when we focused our attention, right? The motorcycle allowed us to focus our attention on the road ahead of us. And we had both taken a motorcycle safety course. And so we're pretty familiar with, and we enjoyed, the winding roads of the Santa Monica Mountains, for instance. But it requires focus and attention. The road ahead of you. It's not like we're kind of like looking up at the sky or, having to, because the road itself is winding. And if you don't pay attention, you're going to go off the road and go into the cliff. So that the activity requires complete focus of attention, allowing only a very select range of information into awareness and leaving no room in the mind for anything else. All troubling or irrelevant thoughts are kept entirely at bay. So kind of interesting, right? So here's our focus, right? So what do we do with our anchor? What is our anchor? Our anchor is a place that we choose to place our focus and attention on, right? And it's so focused and attended that as we notice our mind wander, we come back to our focus, come back to our focus, come back to our focus. And that's our practice, right? So in essence, the practice of mindfulness can actually be sort of a training for achieving flow. So you're allowing only a very select range of information, leaving no room for the mind for anything else. And as things do come in, like troubling and irrelevant thoughts, irrelevant at that moment, right? Because they might be very relevant in 20 minutes. Like, where are we getting lunch? Right? But in that moment, it's an irrelevant thought. I'm right now, I'm just focusing on driving my motorcycle. It doesn't matter where we're getting lunch. I just need to, ride my motorcycle. All troubling or irrelevant thoughts are kept entirely at bay. So it's sort of like, here they are, right? They might be there, but that's not what we're choosing to focus on. Okay. Then for that activity to actually transform into a flow state, these further conditions must arise. The activity becomes spontaneous, almost automatic, and there is no sense of a self apart from the activity. You may have felt this sometimes. Like, wow, I was the soil that was, and the gardener and the plant. Maybe when you had a moment of flow when you were gardening, or a moment of flow when you're cooking, right? That it becomes totally spontaneous, almost automatic, and there is no sense of a self separate from the activity. A feeling of effortlessness arises. Even though continuous skilled performance is required, everything happens seamlessly as if by magic. It's kind of cool, isn't it? Like like this task that's neither too challenging nor too easy, but it requires attention and focus, and then seemingly happens effortlessly, right? I think that's kind of cool. Even though continuous skilled performance is required, everything happens seamlessly as if by magic. There is a sense of successfully exercising control, which is not the same as feeling like you are in control. Okay. So there is a sense of successfully exercising control, which is not the same as feeling like you are in control. And then he has a little thing here. Intention is followed by action. The outcome gets a positive evaluation, and feelings of pleasure and satisfaction reinforce the continued repetition of intention and action. This process creates a sense of order in conscious experience. So there's an intention, let's say, in our mindfulness practice that leads to our action. Let's say we sit down at our pillow or we sit and practice mindfulness. We start to pay attention, we start to focus. Maybe there's a sense of feeling satisfaction in that, and that actually then triggers this sense of flow that seamlessly just appears and occurs and continues. And there's a sense of just happening, and everything is one, and that is it, right? In mindfulness or meditation circles, some people call this sort of, when you're absorbed, when you're absorbed in meditation, or when you're like absorbed in your cooking, or you're absorbed in your walk, or you're absorbed in your gardening, or you're absorbed in whatever it is that you are doing. I was clearly absorbed in my motorcycle riding, and that triggered this sense of flow. Okay. Some of you, the reason I bring this up is because some of you may have actually already felt this in meditation. And it can almost feel like it can come and go too. But there is sort of this, wow, something just clicked, right? There's maybe like a clicking that just happened, and you were totally absorbed in the meditation. It was like the focus of attention was there on your anchor, but it was completely effortless. And the thoughts were there, but they didn't influence your focus, right? They didn't affect it. There was a sense of transcendence. There was sort of this sense of greater than that occurred in the meditation, because in essence, what those four parameters, right, of the conditions to set up the state of flow is actually what we're doing in meditation. It's exactly what we're doing in mindfulness. You may have also noticed that maybe the state of, as you practice mindfulness, that you're actually hitting these states more frequently. You're actually hitting flow in life more frequently, right? Now, wouldn't it be cool if life was just flow? Where the activity is spontaneous, there's no sense of self apart from the activity, a feeling of effortlessness arises. Everything happens seamlessly as if by magic. There's a sense of exercising control. and then you enter into feeling strong, alert, effortless control, unself-conscious, at the peak of their abilities. Both the sense of time and emotional problems seem to disappear, and there's an exhilarating feeling of transcendence. So by working, so by doing mindfulness, right, this is why I'm bringing this up. I think that's kind of neat, right? I think that this is actually a state that we can strive towards. That everyone experiences it from time to time, but can you increase that state? Can you increase that length by doing this practice? And it seems to me like actually mindfulness, meditation practice, mindfulness will increase the likelihood of being in flow. I work in flow solutions at my job. This is a fascinating approach. Fascinating. All right, so what are the 4 conditions? So in our practice today, just kind of, kind of like think about these 4 conditions, right? That you do the practice, that the activity is performed as an end in itself. The biggest critique I get, I'll be honest with you, the biggest critique I get in my teachings is that I don't talk about the fruits of meditation. I don't tell you that, oh, this is what you're going to get from meditating and, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to be this and that. I just don't do that. Okay. Well, and I have a very good reason for that. And it's like, I don't want to tell you what the fruits are. I want you to find those fruits for yourself, which is to me much more of a fully authentic experience than, well, Dr. Z told me that, I would be more calm, so I started meditating or whatever it is. Right. So the number one critique I get is I don't talk about the fruits of the practice. Okay. Which I think is fine. I'm not too concerned about it. I want you to find your fruit. Go out. I'm not going to go to the tree and pick the apple and give it to you. I want you here. Look, I might lift you up, but you're going to grab your own apple and pick it and taste it and eat it and taste the sweetness. I don't know. You tell me, was it sweet or not? Some people don't like apples. I love them. All right. So the activity is performed as an end in itself. So in your meditation practice, why do we meditate? Well, we meditate just to be in the present moment. So that's it. Right? It's not, I don't say like, oh, we meditate so that you are going to, right? It doesn't have there's no other purpose besides the purpose is to be in the present moment. Okay. I don't say that you're going to become less anxious or less depressed or more calm, because I've been in meditation sessions where I actually came out more anxious and more sad and less calm. Right. So I don't do that. Right. So the activity is performed as an end in itself. The goal of the activity is clear and the feedback you get from it. So what's the activity? The activity is to be in the present moment. That's it. There's no like, oh, and your anxiety will decrease. Okay. The activity is neither taxingly difficult nor too easy. The challenge of the task is perfectly balanced with so I actually think that, for some people, meditation might be too difficult still. Okay. Which is fine. And that's why we have a lot of tools and techniques like loving kindness and gratitude practice and walking meditation and sound and things like that. Okay. Which is wonderful. The activity requires complete focus of attention. That's it. So therefore, those 4 parameters are actually being created in our mindfulness practice. In our mindfulness practice. Since I started meditation many years ago and mindfulness with you, I experienced many times flow, and now I can concentrate more than ever. Beautiful. Am I right? I agree. It's almost as if the state of flow just spontaneously emerges in the present moment. It's like, whoop, and there it is. All right. Anyways, anything else? I just think that's really. I've never actually read his book. My buddy, we digested it together back in college, and he just recently, this psychologist recently passed away, and so his stuff is popping up. Here's a statement he makes: when everything is just right, your mind will seem to slip into a groove and begin to flow for a little while. This shift is a mental state. I think the book is called Flow. I believe it's Flow. I will get the I'm just reading an article that somebody sent me on it. The book is Flow, and I'm not gonna. It's called The Psychology of Optimal Experience. Here's the. Not that I'm promoting Amazon, but here's the Amazon link. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're very welcome. All right, so slip into that group. You know, that's a really kind of cool slip into the group, because that's actually is almost like you know, when I'm riding my motorcycle, right? When I'm riding my motorcycle, I'm coming down, I'm at the top of the mountains, and we're going down to the ocean. It's like almost like I just slipped into a groove, and there was nothing that was going to take me out of this groove. And it involved complete focus, but yet total allowance. So almost like somebody else was riding the motorcycle. And you know, even though we had the interesting part for me is that there was this comparison with the way my friend was riding, and we had ridden together I don't know how many times, because he was the only guy that I would ride my bike with, right? So when we saw the activity actually have an effect that was physical, I was like, whoa, like something just happened there. All right, so let's see where we go today. All right, so let's find a comfortable posture. A posture that you feel relaxed yet alert. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. If not, having a soft downward gaze as if you're looking off onto the horizon. And taking 2 or 3 deep breaths. And with each exhale, releasing any tension that your body is ready to release. And then breathing regularly. bringing your attention to your anchor, to your resource. To a place that you can direct your attention to, that you feel safer. Or if you like, you can drop the anchor and rest in awareness itself. And that here we are today with no purpose, with no end goal, simply being in the present moment. Focusing our attention on the present moment. Focusing our attention on something that we choose to focus our attention on. And a simple passive disregard for anything else. You may notice thoughts, emotions, or sensations that enter your awareness. And for this practice, just choosing not to pay too much attention to them, allowing them to flow in and out as we focus our attention on our anchor. That this meditation is performed simply to meditate, simply to be in the moment. And you may ask yourself, how do I know I'm paying attention to this moment? What do I get as feedback? Do you notice it as a thought, an emotion, or a sensation in your body? Is there any expansion or contraction? Is there any changing of the breath? Does your level of effort change in any way? Do you notice any part of this activity, this meditation, that becomes spontaneous, effortless? Your attention may be resting in awareness or fully focused on an object of meditation, your anchor. There's a sense of concentration, but also a sense of spaciousness and openness. Fully controlling Here we are being present just for the sake of being present, focusing and concentrating our attention, noticing what we sense in the present moment. And becoming fully absorbed in our meditation. Noticing where your mind is now. Coming back to your anchor. Fully present. Right here. Right now. And as we bring this meditation to a close, just noting how meditating simply for meditating and being in the present moment made you feel in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. Taking 2 or 3 deep breaths. Opening your eyes if your eyes were closed. Feeling your feet on the ground. Reorienting yourself to your room and your surroundings. Stretching if you feel like you need to stretch. And just taking a moment to reflect on your practice. All right. Love to you all. Have a beautiful week. We'll see you again when we come back. Bye-bye.